Sultan, this gentleman here, King Abdullah II, he's the 41st direct descendant of Prophet Muhammad. He's in town. Today was the third and final day of his 3-day visit. He's made a clarion call for all moderates within Islam, as well as other religions, to speak out and reclaim their religion from the extremists who've hijacked it. He also said it was time to reclaim the airwaves and the internet from the extremists who seem to be inspiring these lone wolf attacks. Remember the ISIS attacks that happened in Berlin and Paris and the rest of the Western world? This is an important pointer. If India, with 170 million Muslims, can show the way for how to deal with radical Islamists, then is it time for the world to sit up and pay attention? Face Off begins right now. First up, let's listen in to what the Jordanian king said.
Today, let all people, Muslims and non-Muslim, reach out to each other in the hands of friendship, and we have the power to grasp a better future. The world is one family. However different our countries and our peoples are, we have a shared responsibility to each other, as well as to the future. Today's global war against terror is not a fight between different religions or peoples. It is between moderates of all faiths and communities against extremists whose faith is hate and violence. We need to take back the airwaves and the internet from the voices of hatred, those who have victimized our world.
पूरी खुशहाली, समग्र विकास तभी संभव है जब आप यह देखें कि मुस्लिम युवाओं के एक हाथ में कुरान शरीफ है तो दूसरे हाथ में कंप्यूटर है। जॉर्डन जैसे दोस्तों के साथ और सभी संप्रदायों के मजहबों के नेताओं के सहयोग से एक ऐसी जिम्मेदाराना जागरूकता पैदा हो जो सारी मानवता को रास्ता दिखाए।
All right, so how do the moderates within Islam or any other religion reclaim the space that seems to have been hijacked by extremists within those religions? Let's bring in our guest panel tonight here in our studios. Maulana Maqsoodul Hasan Qasmi is the president of the Imam Council of India. Welcome to the debate. Sabah Naqvi, senior journalist. Naren Taneja is spokesperson of the BJP. Amir Raza Hussain, theatre director and Padma Shri awardee. KC Singh, former diplomat. He's been ambassador both in Iran as well as in the UAE. Dr. Kimraj Jangid is assistant professor and faculty coordinator at the Jindal Center for Israel Studies. He's joining us via Skype from Jodhpur. Let me start with you, Maulana Sahab. What the king said, the war on terror is not a war between religions, not between Hindus and Muslims or between Muslims and Christians, but this is a war between moderates and extremists. So if you want to reclaim Islam, it's time for moderates within Islam to reclaim the religion from extremists.
No, yes. This is the fact. Islam strongly condemns violence and terrorism. People who are doing terrorism on the name of Islam, they do not represent 100% Muslims all over.
So why does it continue to happen? It happens in Paris, it happens in Berlin, it happens in London, it happens in New York, it happens in Boko Haram.
Yes, ISIS, Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, even Taliban, they do not represent Islam and Muslims.
So why are they killing in the name of Allah?
The fact is that.
Why are they killing in the name of Allah?
There are the ISIS killing the Muslim. 99% of the people who are being killed on the hand of ISIS are Muslims, and 100% of the people.
They are killing. They are killing the kafirs in the name of Allah.
No. Let me complete, sir.
They are killing the infidels in the name of Allah.
And 99% people who are fighting ISIS, Boko Haram, are Muslim.
Why is ISIS killing in the name of Allah? Why is ISIS killing Muslims and non-Muslims, kafirs or infidels as they say, in the name of Allah? Why?
They are misusing Islam, and this is not specific only for Islam.
True.
There are Hindu outfits
and that's what the king
who
said.
have hijacked the Hindu
That's what the king said.
religion.
As much as no, one second. Let me say this. One second. Let me say this. As much as the moderates within Islam have to reclaim their religion and the majority of their religion from the extremists who seem to have hijacked it, in the same way, I agree. Moderate Hindus need to reclaim Hinduism from the Gaurakshaks. I agree. I'm 100% with you on this.
So your hashtags today.
So where are the moderate Muslims?
You should not confine only to Islam.
Where are the moderate
Muslims?
Where are the moderate Muslims? Why are they not reclaiming their religion from these extremists?
More than 99% Muslims all over the world strongly condemn terror activities, sir.
But why are these people continuing to dominate Sabha Naqvi? Welcome to the debate. Why are these people, and this is a point that the king made himself, why are these people, why are these extremists dominating the airwaves, dominating the internet in a way that it inspires lone wolf attacks in Paris, in Berlin, in New York, and the rest of the Western world? Why?
So, Zakka, let's be very clear, the King of Jordan speaks from a region which is extremely troubled by this. We do not have that problem here in India. We have a problem of conservatism and backwardness of the Muslim community. We don't have, in the context, and I've been very fortunate in the course of the past few days. I was part of a 2-day symposium between India and Indonesia. Indonesia, as you know, it has the world's largest Muslim population. Last night, there was a visiting lady of the King of Morocco, another Arab, stable Arab kingdom, and I had dinner over there. So people in that part of the world are very, very worried about the violent Islam. And let me, since I'm not a diplomat, let me state it out here. The country which has promoted an intolerant brand of Islam, which has gone with it all over the world, is Saudi Arabia. Now, we can carry on talking about Indian Islam being very, very tolerant, and it was. It was a Sufi way and all of this, but so was it in Pakistan, and it has changed. Politics has the capacity to change things.
No, but why? No, one second, Sabha. When you say, Sabha, one second. When you say it's changed, no, I'm not interested in Pakistan. I couldn't care less about Pakistan. When you say it's changed, you almost assume it's a fait accompli.
No,
it's incumbent upon the moderate Muslims within India to reclaim the religion from extremists.
So why do you say they don't do it? Hang on. No, I object to your presumption that somehow moderates are keeping quiet. Moderates have been shouting about this, Zakka, for a long, long time. It's not something new. That the moderates have been shouting about this for a long, long time, and you may not be so guilty about this, but the only Muslim faces that television seems to invite are clerical faces. India is full of artists, poets. Indian history, the Urdu language, is poets who may mock the mullahs. That is what Urdu poetry is about.
No, I mean, I'm not. No. One second. I'm not sure that is. No. One second. Maulana Sahab, one second. I've got Amir Raza Hussain. One second. Maulana Sahab, one second. Let me. No. One second. एक सेकंड. Sir, मैं आपसे शिकायत कर रहा हूँ. एक second. Let me get in Amir Raza Hussain. Sabha has made a statement that, Indian television only invites the extremist voices because it's polarizing, it's great for rating points and so on. Look, I don't subscribe to that. What I'm trying to understand from you is way beyond who television invites and who television does not invite. What I'm trying to understand from you, Amir Raza Hussain, and I believe you are one of the many moderates, many moderates within the 170 million Muslims in this country. What I want to know from you is why aren't moderate Muslims, not just in India, but around the world, speaking out and reclaiming the religion from these extremists? So much so that the King of Jordan today has to make that statement, and he's right. I agree with him 100%. It's time to reclaim the airwaves and the internet from these hardline elements. Amir Raza Hussain.
So, Zakka, in India, as Sabha was trying to say, in India, the moderate voice of the Muslim is heard above all even today. Unfortunately, and please let me finish, unfortunately, this is not true of the Arab world. Saudi Arabia, as she's pointed out, is not just the crucible of a lot of terrorism in the world, but Saudi Arabia also has holds sway over most of the Arab world. The king of Saudi Arabia he has Makkah and Medina, the two holiest cities of Islam, under him. So they have a lot of clout, and till very recently they've had a lot of money to throw around. And the reason why the extremist voice is being heard in India is because of Saudi Arabian money. And it's because of Saudi Arabian people coming and preaching this kind of horrible, un-Islamic philosophy in this country. So now, you know, here, look at us. We say, oh, the new Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, he's such a great guy, man. June 2018, he's allowing women to drive. I mean, really? Is that a mark of someone who's liberal? No bother that he is bombing the hiji-bijis out of Muslims in Yemen, and he's stopping ships of medicine reaching them, and he's stopping any kind of UN aid reaching them. Oh, no, but he's You see, the thing is that what we have to make sure in this country is that we try to limit extremist Arab thought reaching the poor Muslim in this country, reaching the mosques of our little villages, which hold sway over Muslim thought all over the country.
Look,
we need to do that,
still,
and we need
Raza
people
said,
like the Maulana here as allies.
As much as I accept whatever you've said, and you're 100% right, what I don't understand, and what I find difficult to understand is, why is it that despite the Sufism, despite our own syncretic culture, as it were, the Indian Muslim is very different from Muslims anywhere around the world. Why are people like, let's say, for example, a Zakir Naik having so much sway on vast swathes of the Muslim population in this country? That is inexplicable to me. No,
look at the amount of money he's bringing in.
I don't think it's a consequence of money at all. No. I don't think it's just a consequence of money. No, I don't think it's just a consequence of money. Let me bring in KC Singh as well as one second. I'm coming to you because both KC Singh, Narendra Taneja as well as Professor Kimraj Jangid have been waiting very patiently. So let me get in the others into this debate as well. It's an open debate. KC Singh, what people want to understand is this: Jordan is a small country. It doesn't have the kind of natural reserves of oil or gas like a Saudi Arabia or even a Qatar, which is also a small country, has. I mean, it's not very resource rich in that sense. And yet, why should we celebrate the King of Jordan here in India? What is it that Jordan offers on the table that we can learn from?
Look, Jordan's always had a moderating voice. In fact, King Abdullah doesn't have the stature of his father. King Hussein had a far greater stature. But remember one thing, that the ruling family there and what used to be the ruling family in Iraq were really placed on their thrones by the British and the French after the Ottomans collapsed. So it's not an old dynasty which has been running. So Jordan is an artificial construct, as are all these countries in this area after the Ottoman Empire collapsed. But the problem is, as Sabha said, not that. The problem is that 1979, Shah is overthrown, who was a great moderating force in the Gulf. Khomeini comes in, Soviets walk into Afghanistan, and the marriage takes place between American weapons, Pakistani General Zia's zeal, and Saudi Wahhabi Islam. They marry and they start fighting the Soviet Union. So the dominance of Wahhabi Islam with petrodollars combined with US patronage, with Pakistani support, then becomes the dominant narrative. It became a part of the Cold War, and nobody wanted. 30 years ago, I remember 40 years ago, you couldn't distinguish a Muslim on the streets of India from a non-Muslim. Where were the caps and the high salwars above your ankles? They never used to wear those caps, skull caps, which are very prevalent. This is Saudi money. Now, Saudi Arabia says they are moderating, but the marriage between the royal family, ruling family there and the Wahhabs is so intimate that it's not going to be that easy. And in the meanwhile, it's got more complicated after Arab Spring. You must remember that you're talking of King of Jordan. The great moderating voice was Obama 2009. After taking over, the son of a Muslim, taking over as president, went to Cairo University and gave a very famous lecture. And intellectually he realized that the wars they were fighting in Iraq and in Afghanistan could not be fought without giving support to the moderate voices. But then came Arab Spring. And in fact, in Arab Spring, they allowed Mubarak to fall because they thought with democracy, there'll be a moderating influence. But what they realized was democracy actually brought the Muslim Brotherhood.
Exactly.
So, you know, there is a big churn which is taking place in the Islamic world.
Exactly.
But let me finally add that the Indian Muslim, when I was coordinator counter-terrorism 2006 to 2008, I was often asked by Western countries, what is the magic formula that the Indian Muslim remains moderate? The population in India has remained moderate. What BJP calls appeasing them was nothing more than making them feel comfortable. Therefore, the danger today is not the thing coming from Saudi Arabia. Danger is when you start baiting, when the fringe of BJP starts baiting the Muslim. There lies the danger.
Okay, let me get Naren Taneja into this conversation. I think this is an important conversation that we need to have. KC Singh is right in as much as out of the 170 million Muslims that we have in this country, which is the second highest in the world after Indonesia, only 103 people have been accused of having links with ISIS who've been arrested by the NIA. 17 ISIS-linked arrests in Uttar Pradesh, 16 ISIS-linked arrests in Maharashtra. The ISIS has been notified as a terrorist organization by the government of India. The point is, 103 would be, I don't know, you do the math, Naren Taneja, 1% of 170 million.
Well, Zakka, you see, Islam per se is a moderate religion. Indian Muslims are among the best in the world, the most beautiful in the world. And, and India has always been, when you look at the history of India, has always been an inclusive society. So if KC Singh thinks that we don't know the history of this country, we don't know the ground reality of this country, then I think he probably may know something about some other country. He knows nothing about India. And definitely he knows nothing about BJP. Now, you see, the point we are trying to make here is, as the Prime Minister said today, what the Prime Minister said, Prime Minister was saying, no, let me complete, have some respect. Did I intervene when you were speaking?
No, but you are misquoting me. I was not talking of history.
Please, respect it.
I was talking of the fringe of BJP. Stick to the fringe. No, you are saying I don't know history, so I have to respond.
Am I entitled to speak? Am I, when your turn comes, you can give the clarification, but please
don't
allow
misquote
me to speak. You're a diplomat, former.
Go ahead.
Well, I will say what I need to say. Don't try to put your words into my mouth. I know what you said. We know your hatred for BJP.
I'm putting my words nowhere. I'm saying don't misquote me.
Please.
Yes.
I'm saying what I feel is right. I'm expressing my views. All right? Am I entitled to it? You can't really censor my views. We don't have emergency in this country. You see, now the point I'm trying to make is very clear. Point I'm saying is what the Prime Minister said today. What we want, the kind of idea that BJP or the government has. एक हाथ में Quran Sharif और दूसरे हाथ में computer, and this is the Prime Minister keeps saying it repeatedly, and he has always said, the Prime Minister, ये दो आंख है, एक हिंदू और दूसरी मुसलमान. You see, it's nothing new. That's Prime Minister is underlining because that's the reality of India, has been reality of India for centuries and centuries and centuries. And that's why when we say Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, that's what exactly we mean. You see,
let Maulana Maqsood Ul Hasan Qasmi respond to that. Yes. I think the Prime Minister made a fair point. If the Muslim community in India needs to progress, ek haath mein Quran Sharif or ek haath mein computer, what's wrong with that? So why are some people within the Muslim community then opposed? No, 1 second, Sabha. Why are some people within the Muslim community opposed to something as commonsensical as an anti-triple talaq law? Why?
No. Anti-triple talaq law is something else. But you merely
is that not a question of gender justice?
This is the fiery rhetoric. empty rhetoric.
Why is it empty
Silly
rhetoric?
speeches.
Why is it empty rhetoric?
You are making deprivation of Muslim from basic necessities, from the basic education. You are taking away universities like Muslim University and Jamia Millia Islamia.
And all of that has happened in the last 4 years. Before that, nothing happened.
School in the
What about
Muslim
Sachar committee happened in the UPA regime?
So
Sachar committee sort of
both
accounted how much backward Muslims in this country are.
I'm not. I'm saying that both be it BJP or Congress, all the regimes are responsible for the plight of the Muslims in India.
But the point is, sir, that if there are common sense legislations which oppose triple talaq, which has been opposed by Muslim women, the petitioners in this case are Muslim women.
What will destitute Muslim women will do with the triple talaq when they have nothing to eat, when they have no employment?
This is a false equivalence. I'm sorry, Sabah Naqvi, and then I need to go to Dr. Jahangir. Yeah, but Sabah, make your point. I need to go to Dr. Jahangir. No, look, I think the Prime Minister. One second. Mr. Maulana, one second. Let Sabah respond. Let Sabah respond.
Not to interrupt me.
I can't make a promise on his behalf, but please go ahead.
Zakka, I want to make a point.
Yes.
If the Maulana Sahib would keep quiet, I want to make a point.
Yes.
Now, I believe that this entire conference and the Prime Minister's words about a Quran in one hand and a computer in the other were made in the right spirit. But I have I'm sure the Maulanas did that. Why are Muslims told to hold a Quran in one hand? Do you go around telling Christians, walk around with a Bible? How would you feel if you're told, have a Bible in one hand and have a computer in the other?
I agree.
Or Hindus are told, have a Bhagavad Gita and a computer in the other. What is it about? It's the preponderance of the clerics on television and in our perception of secularism or whatever it is. That is why Muslims have to put up with the ignominy, and he meant well. In this case, I think Prime Minister Modi was not out to provoke anything. But I am reacting as a citizen of India. If you want, have a Quran. If you don't want, don't have a Quran. What is this? Would you like to be told that you should walk around with the Bible?
You want to respond to that?
Or would the BJP spokesperson say,
why should Indian Muslims have to prove their patriotism? You don't ask any other Indian in this country to prove their patriotism. You just single out Indian Muslims. Why?
No. You see, the point is, I mean, there are more poor Hindus than Muslims in this country. So if you want us to say the ek haath mein Bhagavad Gita, ek haath mein computer, we are saying it, ek haath mein Bible, ek haath mein, so what difference does it make? You see, try to understand. You have to go look at the spirit of the whole thing. I mean, the whole idea is there are people like some people, you also see them in television studio, they claim to be the leader of the Indian Muslims, but they're not. You see, the point that the Prime Minister tried to make this morning is very simple. Empowering Muslims, empowering our people, empowers people in this country to take the country forward. India can't become an economic superpower unless every single Muslim, Christian, deprived Hindu, deprived Buddhist, Sikhs and all, they are mainstream. They are part of the story. If you don't want to talk in terms of Muslim, that's okay. I understand, respect and appreciate it. But the point is that we do talk about communities in the country.
Okay.
And if you don't, but we have to mainstream everyone. That's the whole idea. That's what the Prime Minister means.
Let me get Dr. Jahangir into the conversation. Dr. Jahangir, again, I keep going back to this. I mean, the biggest powers in the Arab world, whether it's Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East, Iran or Egypt, India has sort of balanced relations with all of them. Why is the visit of the King of Jordan, which is a very small country, like I said, doesn't have great reserves of oil or gas, what is it that the King of Jordan and the country of Jordan can offer India that we are celebrating this visit so much?
Thank you, Zakka. I think what is interesting, you're very right, and I think K.C. Singh also said it very diplomatically, the artificial creation of Jordan by the British. He's a modest king, and he really has a very modest kingdom to represent. You are right. What is interesting, I think there are two things that I can speculate on behalf of Indian diplomacy here. One, that India does want to give this moderate Jordanian king a much louder place and a voice. In a place like India, which has a significant Muslim population and a lot of rhetoric of having such a Islamic tone to its history. So I think India did, in a way, very smartly give a very loud space to a very modest kingdom. But then there is also a second angle, which is the growing relationship with Israel. Jordan is one of the very stable partners. It's actually the only stable partner in the Middle East when it comes to Israel. The peace with Egypt for Israel has been a cold peace, but the peace with Jordan since 1994 has been one of the more remarkable achievements for the Israeli state. So I think in this angle, India is utilizing Jordan's strategic position to also reach to Israel, but also more importantly, I mean, India doesn't need Jordan to facilitate anything towards Israel, but India does need a good Jordanian hand to reach out to the Palestinian part.
Great.
So I think that there is something very important Indian diplomacy is conceiving. As far as your question, which you started with, I'm just tempted to give an explanation. I don't know if I will be able to answer that. Why aren't many moderates successful in saving Islam? Now, to me, if I can disagree with the phrase, if we do say that Islam has been hijacked, then we are blaming something Islamic in terrorism. But I think let's avoid that. But this is an important question. Why do moderates not succeed? And I think one of the reasons, very human, is that the radicals, that the provocative leaders tend to succeed more than the harmonizing one. Just look at India. In last 4 to 5 years, India doesn't have run out of the options of the moderate Hindus. Like look at Shashi Tharoor's book. Now Shashi Tharoor wrote a book called "I'm a Hindu and I will explain why and how am I a Hindu," in a way that will differ fundamentally with RSS school of Hinduism or Hindutva.
Okay.
So what I mean to say is that it's interesting to ask the question, but I think in general, radicals and the provocative figures tend to galvanize more people behind them than the
no, but again, I think I think it goes in cycles. I think it's a consequence of the time and age that you're living in. A Nixon and a Vietnam War eventually led to voices of moderation in America. A Bush and an Iraq war led to an Obama. Today, we're living in the age of Trump. What I'm getting at, I'll deal with both the points that were raised by Dr. Jangir. The first point that he raised, why should Indian Muslims, Maulana Saab, have a problem with India elevating its relationship with Israel? How does it matter whether India has a strategic partnership with Israel?
No.
Why are some people saying that, oh, this is abandoning the Palestinian cause?
Because Israel, it is the Israel which is tyrant government in the region.
But how does it matter? How does it matter to the Indian Muslim?
The entire Palestinian
how does it
population?
matter to the Indian Muslim? Is Palestinian territories serving poor Indian Muslims 3 times food a day?
Does our constitution doesn't support the human rights?
That's not the point. The point is this
sort of
equivalence. No, one second. I don't understand. I think it's a false equivalence to suggest that just because India is elevating its relationship with Israel, somehow, Indian Muslims feel offended. It's people like you, it's people like Owaisi who claim that, oh yeah, Indian Muslims are offended because we elevate our relationship with Israel.
Israeli government is not very beneficiary for us in terms of the foreign exchange. Do you know
how are you coming to this conclusion?
Foreign exchange हम अरब वर्ल्ड से कमाते हैं? क्या फायदा दे रहा है हमें इस्राइल?
हमारा डिफेंस रिलेशनशिप कितना मतलब गहरी है इजराइल के साथ?
आपको मालूम है?
नहीं, आप ये बताइए। नहीं, मेरा सीधा सा सवाल है। एक सेकंड, मौलाना साहब, एक मेरा सीधा सा सवाल है, क्या कूटनीति मजहब के बेसिस पे चला जाएगा इस देश में?
We have our history.
So
historical perspective we also have.
क्या कूटनीति इस देश में मजहब के बेसिस पे चलाया जाएगा?
And the Gandhi ji did.
No, I'm sorry. I find this.
Zakka, give me 20 seconds.
I want to get Amir Raza Hussain and Sabah Naqvi back into this conversation. I think this is why I keep going back to that point about why moderate voices need to come back to the fore, Amir Raza Hussain. The fact is, I can't figure out for the life of me why. No, one second. Amir Raza Hussain. Amir Raza Hussain. One second. Then Sabah. Amir Raza Hussain. Why should Indian Muslims? One second. 170 million of them, and about almost 40% of them are below the poverty line. Why should they have a problem with India elevating its relationship with Israel to a strategic level? You tell me, please.
I think, the problem for Indian Muslims should not really be India elevating its strategic relationship with Israel. If anything, their problem should be with Saudi Arabia actually having a relationship with Israel, which is perhaps far greater today than what India has.
Sir, I agree with you. Sir,
So
I
what
agree
is
with
happening
you.
is that
लेकिन
there is a churn. You agree with-
you are saying that
agree
you have a
with me?
problem with it. You are
मुझे-
saying कि
मुझे
इंडिया
खत्म
को
करने लीजिए
हाँ,
टिबला।
आमिर राजा
को
हुसैन
यूएनओ पर लात मारता है, हजारों रेजोल्यूशन ऑफ
इंडिया का स्ट्रेटेजिक रिलेशनशिप I refuse to buy this. How can India's
मुझे
strategic
एक
relationship be
दफा-
decided by religion? No, Amir Raza Hussain, finish
मुझे
your point.
एक दफा-
Finish your point, Amir Raza Hussain, and then Sabah.
Okay. So as I said, the churning within the Arab world today is such that actually the only people who are antagonistic, clearly antagonistic towards Israeli interest are the Iranians today.
Yeah.
It's completely weird. Because it's an Arab question, not an Iranian question. The Iranians have always been outside the ambit of the Arabs, and today with these formulations of Saudi Arabia, most of the Arab world is extending hands of friendship to Israel. So I cannot see Indian Muslims having a problem if it is put to them in the right manner.
No, but why then, Sabah Naqvi? No, one second. Sabah Naqvi, why then are people like Maulana Saab, people like Owaisi having a problem with India elevating its relationship with Israel? It shouldn't matter to Indian Muslims.
I don't think, Zakka, that's not
Absolutely
a public issue at all right now. That happened years ago. India established a diplomatic relationship with Israel. But I want to just get back to your original theme. First, the presumption that moderates are somehow not speaking out.
First,
you tell me, I have a question for you as an anchor.
Okay.
Who are the Muslim names that you remember? You'll have Javed Akhtar, you'll have Hamid Ansari, you'll have Shah Rukh Khan, who happen to be Muslim. You'll have a couple of journalists thrown in.
They're all moderate Muslims.
And then you'll
They're
have
all
a bunch
moderate
of
Muslims.
mullahs whose
No,
names
they're
you
all
will not
moderate Muslims.
remember. Who
No,
are the
they're all
prominent
moderate-
Muslims whose names you will not remember?
No,
they are just
the very
clubbed in
names that
bunch
you
of
mentioned.
mullahs.
The
That's
very
how it
names
is.
that you mentioned,
That's
the
how it
Javed
is. It
Akhtars
is the
of the world.
television
No,
which
the
presents
Javed
Indian
Akhtars of the
Muslims
world, the big
as,
superstars of Bollywood, they're all moderate Muslims.
They are
And I
liberals, they are
believe
liberals.
that 99.9999%
They're all- so
of
these are
Indian
these
Muslims
are
are
your
moderate
Indian
Muslims.
Muslims.
Why then? No, Sabah,
Yeah.
you are answering my question. Why
Yeah,
then
yet the
are
representation-
why then are the Owaisis and the Maulanas
Yeah.
of the world hijacking the view that many people like you represent? Why?
Yeah, because you're calling them, not you, but in general, there is this good, bad Muslim, a Hindu Muslim fight. That's a format. So these guys have a lot of prominence these days. Nobody knows who they are. Once they've left the studio, nobody remembers their names. They are not people of any significance.
Look,
you don't remember.
No,
you
no,
have
no,
to
no,
look
look,
at
look,
the
look,
format.
the
Why
point
is
is,
it
with you, ma'am.
But
the
you know
point
who Javed
is,
is true
Akhtar
with the people
You know
like
who
you
it
as
is.
well.
Let's be
One
honest,
sec.
huh?
No. Look, the point is that people like Owaisi, people like Maulana Saab here seem to speak on behalf of Indian Muslims. I mean, even if they talk about the poverty of Indian Muslims, I don't have a problem with it. They're well within their right to speak about it. But I don't understand for the life of me how they can say that Indian Muslims have a problem with India elevating its relationship with Israel. I mean, that's just gobbledygook.
Palestine has Muslims Qibla Awwal. You know Qibla Awwal?
No.
What is the first
how is
Qibla?
that linked to India's strategic relationship?
Qibla.
No, how
Qibla.
is that linked to India's strategic relationship?
Because Baitul Muqaddas belongs to all Muslims all over the world.
So India can't have a strategic partnership with
So we
Israel.
have to.
India cannot have a strategic partnership with the United States.
We have right to express our view.
Give me
No,
20
have our
seconds.
right
Dr.
to
Then-
Dr. Jangid and
Allow me
Narendra
to
Taneja want to
speak.
come in. Dr. Jangid.
Thank you. I think Sabah did good thing. She just pulled us back to this theme. But I personally don't think that Indian Muslims did express something significant in terms of India's changing policies towards the Israeli state. I think you're right that there are certain leaders who just for a political opportunism using it as a rhetoric.
So one sec. Dr. Jangid, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. But the time that the Prime Minister visited Israel last July and the time that Benjamin Netanyahu came to India back in January, you read every major Urdu newspaper in this country, they all had editorials saying, oh, this is a bad idea, this is bad for diplomacy, and India is ditching, you know, something that we've believed in for the last 60 years. Why? How does it matter?
Okay, can I then, okay,
No,
I agree with that.
Okay,
that,
if
that,
you want a serious...
that thought which is...
Dr. Jangid, yeah.
Yeah, I think, Zakka, you are right. There is a significant amount of narrative which is still going around. It's true. It's plausible to argue about it academically as well. And I think the reasons are that even in the 1920s and 30s, the first reference to this issue was religious, even in the times of Gandhi. There was a particular way in which I think Maulana Sahab was trying to refer this. I couldn't get his full phrase, but the third holiest shrine is in Jerusalem, Al-Aqsa Mosque. Yeah. And that mosque was in a way presented to be a concern for the whole Islam than only for the Palestinians. But here is the catch. That's the most disastrous thing that happened to the Palestinian cause, because in that rhetoric, nothing was achieved for them. And secondly, here comes the importance of Jordan again, because King Abdullah and his very remarkable father, King Hussein, who was formerly actually had this ownership till 1980s, did not preach jihad or Islamic fervor to this cause. So I think this is another, I'll answer your question, that a moderate like King Hussein in Jordan did not let Al-Aqsa Mosque become a religious movement for the Palestinian cause. And Palestinian cause has firmly remained a national anti-occupation, self-determination issue, which is the ground for its legitimacy.
Okay.
So actually you have an answer that how the Kingdom of Jordan did not galvanize it. And it's unfortunate that if Maulana Sahab thinks that it's something that every Islamic group of, or every Muslim society should be concerned about. I don't think...
Narendra wants to respond.
Yeah, you see, and when it comes to Israel, Zakka, our experience is totally different. Our experience is that whatever is in the national interest, people support, including Muslims, they have no problem. But at the same time, we are a democratic country. If some people have, different opinion, it's okay in a democracy, whether you're Hindu or a Muslim or Christian, Jain, does really matter. So people are entitled to their views. There are no problem with that. But our experience is majority of Muslims have no problem with that.
One second. The point that I was trying to make was tomorrow, let's say, for example, hypothetically, if the government of India were to take an outreach vis-a-vis China, right? They're trying to better relations with China. You think Siyasat Daily would care about it? You think any of the Urdu papers would care about it? If they don't care about India's relationship with China, which I think is arguably the most important bilateral relationship that's going to define India's foreign relations in the next 20 years, then why should they be worried about India's relations with Israel?
No, you cannot.
Why?
China
How does it matter?
No. You see,
सिर्फ मजहब के नाम पे, सिर्फ मजहब के नाम पे,
आप उसके साथ
नहीं सिर्फ मजहब के नाम पे,
इंसानों की जान लेना,
नहीं आप बताइए जो हमारा सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बायलैटरल रिलेशनशिप है मेरे हिसाब से इंडिया और चाइना के बीच में होगा अगले 20 साल तक, क्योंकि हमारे बीच में हिस्ट्री है, हमारे बीच में प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ हिस्ट्री है, अनडिफाइंड लाइन ऑफ एक्चुअल कंट्रोल है. द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट रिलेशनशिप फॉर मी, द मोस्ट डिफाइनिंग रिलेशनशिप फॉर मी इज इंडिया चाइना. Tomorrow, one second. Tomorrow, hypothetically, if the Prime Minister, one second, Mr. Taneja, if the Prime Minister were to make a peace outreach with China, will Siyasat Daily write an editorial about it? Will any of the Urdu papers write an editorial about it? And if they won't, then why should they be worried about India's relationship with Israel?
अगर चाइना यूएनओ में हमें बेइज्जत करने की कोशिश करता है, अगर चाइना यूएनओ में हाफिज सईद की मदद करता है, तो उसको चाइना के साथ अगर हमारी कंट्री फ्रेंडशिप करेगी, तो मुखालफत करने का मुझे हक है.
You're obfuscating what I asked. Sabha, final word.
I have right to raise my voice.
Sabha, Narendra Taneja, and then I'm going to wrap up.
Can I?
Yeah, quickly, 30 seconds, please.
Okay, about do you want me to talk about Israel? Because if you, I remember a time when a passport, I think when I was a child, it said valid, Indian passport said valid for all countries except Israel and South Africa.
Yeah.
There were reasons why several countries in the world did not have relations with Israel. So to suddenly have relations with Israel marked a break. Similarly, South Africa, because of apartheid, right? There is a legitimate cause of the Palestinian people who have been sort of out of a homeland. It's a legitimate universal cause. We can't argue about that. So let's not make it a Muslim issue. I think all world citizens should want that conflict to come to an end. About radical, so-called radical Islam, the problem, as one of your panelists who I don't see right now, has been political projects. In Pakistan, Zia-ul Haq changed the nature of Islam.
Yeah.
And Saudi Arabia is at the heart of all of this. And my interaction with the Indonesians was
Saudi
so
Arabia
wonderful.
beheaded more than 100 ISIS people.
Islamic
with
cultural
2 years.
Let her finish, please. Yeah, let her
Please,
finish.
sir, keep quiet.
Let her finish, yeah.
You know, I'm just saying that you have in Indonesia, the dominant theme of the Indonesian delegates was they have the biggest chain is called Ramayan, their national airline is called Garuda. It just goes on. They have kept their pre-Islamic cultural motives. Whereas I find even conservative mullahs in India, I'm not saying they're terrorists or anything, but they will tell you, ye cultural, ye Islam haram hai, aap ye mat kariye, wo mat kariye. Because we have propagated these sort of so-called men who think they're speaking for a whole community.
I agree.
We need to keep
I agree with Sabah. नहीं, आप जो कुछ भी कहे साहब, आप जो कुछ भी कहे, I agree with Sabah 100%. I think Amir Raza Hussain wanted to make the final comment. नहीं, Amir Raza Hussain wanted to make. नहीं, I agree with Sabah 100%. Amir Raza Hussain, quick comment, 30 seconds. I'm going to wrap up. Quickly, sir.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that if we want to keep Indian Muslims away from terrorism, one thing is to prevent the flow of terrorist thought, of Wahhabi thought from coming into the country.
Yes.
And the second very important thing, which Mr. K.C. Singh was also saying, is the kind of hate speeches, for example, you've been showing on your screen.
Yes.
Prevent this kind of eruption of hate within the country. Okay. I think the two together will ensure that we have a peaceful, happy, secular, integrated
10
society.
seconds, final comment. I'm going to wrap up.
Yeah, Zakka, just quick 2 points. Number one, you see our relationship with Israel has been evolving the last 22 years.
Yes.
It's nothing now, all we've done is that we have taken it to the next stage. But it has been evolving under the Congress time also. So it's nothing new, and our experience is we have full support from everyone, all sections of societies, including Indian Muslims. Second, an important point is that Indian Muslims are moderate, and we find that, they are among the most beautiful people in the country and in the world, and we are working together as a party, sabka saath, sabka vikas, and there will be opposition, there will be criticism, but we will focus on what we want to achieve is an economically prosperous India, which is inclusive and which is absolutely world class.
I'm going to wrap up. And I'll once again paraphrase what the King of Jordan today said, that the so-called war on terror, as has been defined by America, and I think it's a very flawed definition that America has put to the rest of the world, and part of the reason why they're not able to exit Afghanistan, why they're not able to find a stable peace in Iraq, is because of the way they've defined the war on terror. But the war on terror really should have been defined as a war not between religions, not between Islam and Hinduism, not between Islam and Christianity, but a war between moderates and extremists. Whether it is in Islam or whether it is in Hinduism or whether it's in Christianity, remember, let's not forget, even for a moment, that this is a Trump world. And one of the first decisions Trump took was to ban people from certain countries because of their faith, not give them a visa because of their faith. So the real war on terror should be moderates versus extremists, moderates within any religion, within Islam, within Hinduism, within Christianity, reclaiming that moderate space from the extremists who seem to have hijacked it over the last few years. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much to all our panelists. Quick break here on the program. When we come back on the other side, the other big story, Karti Chidambaram, sent now to 5-day CBI custody in the INX media case. He will now be produced before the court on the 6th of March. Karti accuses the CBI of leading a political witch hunt against him. Details when Face Off returns. Welcome back. Karti Chidambaram has been sent to 5-day CBI custody in the INX media case. He will now be produced before the court on the 6th of March. Remember, this comes after the CBI had sought a 14-day remand for Karti Chidambaram, who in his defense had said that the CBI is leading a witch hunt against him. Karti also added that the CBI has not issued any summons to him in the last 6 months. Karti Chidambaram is accused of alleged irregularities in Foreign Investment Promotion Board approvals given to INX Media for foreign direct investment back in 2009. Speaking exclusively to CNN-News18, Karti Chidambaram has said that he will be vindicated soon in the court of law. Listen in. The Cabinet today approved the Fugitive Economic Offenders Bill, which will be tabled in the next Parliament session. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley briefed the media on the bill, which is provisions to confiscate benami and foreign assets of anybody who defaults on loans and then flees India.
फ्यूजिटिव ऑफेंडर डिक्लेयर होने के कई कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस होंगे. There will be several consequences. It will lead to confiscation of all his assets in India. और इन assets में अगर उसके कोई बेनामी assets भी होंगे तो वो भी इसके अंदर तहत शामिल किए जाए, जिसके लिए एक इंटरनेशनल कोऑपरेशन का एक मैकेनिज्म बनेगा बाद में, क्योंकि ये समस्या विभिन्न देशों की है. विदेशों में भी जो एसेट्स होंगे उनको भी कॉन्फिस्केट करने का अधिकार होगा.
All right, quick break here in the program. In our final segment, there's massive outrage over semen-filled balloons that are being hurled at girls at Delhi University. This is a very routine practice that happens in the name of festivities, in the name of Holi. But now, women are coming out and saying enough is enough, time's up. It's time to end this rather regressive practice, and any right-thinking male should oppose this as well. We'll have details when Face Off returns. Welcome back. The Delhi Commission for Women has sent a notice to the Delhi police urging it to immediately constitute a task force to prevent crime against women on Holi in the national capital. Now, this comes after semen-filled balloons were hurled at a student of the Delhi University's Lady Shri Ram College while she was travelling in a bus. The student narrated the incident through a Facebook post, and then following that, students of the Delhi University staged protests against harassment in the name of Holi. It's quite common. Women are touched inappropriately, molested, all in the name of festivities around Holi. And can the Burana Mano Holi Hai statement justify such rank, thuggish behavior? CNN-News18 spoke exclusively with the victim who was hit by a semen-filled balloon. She says a group of boys targeted her and bystanders stood as mute spectators. Let's listen into the ordeal that she had to go through.
एग्जैक्टली क्या हुआ और ये किस वक्त की घटना है?
ये अराउंड 5 o'clock शाम की बात है. मैं कॉलेज के बाद एज यूजुअल घर जा रही थी एंड इट वाज माय यूजुअल रूट होम. देयर वाज अ ग्रुप ऑफ बॉयज़ आउटसाइड द बस एंड उन्होंने मेरे चेस्ट को एम करके एक बलून फेंका. मुझे उस टाइम कुछ पता नहीं था क्या हुआ. अचानक से मुझे लगा एंड द कंटेंट स्पिल्ड आउट एंड मुझे समझ नहीं आया क्या करूँ. आई वाज जस्ट इन शॉक एंड द मोमेंट आई रियलाइज़ कि क्या हुआ है और मैंने देखा तो वो लोग निकल गए थे वहाँ से. एंड बस में जितने भी लोग थे उन्होंने विंडोज़ तो बंद कर दिया, लेकिन मेरे सामने एक आंटी बैठी. उन्होंने मुझसे कहा बेटा बुरा मत मानो, होली है. एंड एज अ वुमन आई एक्सपेक्टेड एटलीस्ट द लेडीज़ द वुमेन टू सपोर्ट मी, टू से समथिंग, एटलीस्ट टू कंसोल मी. मम्मा आस्क्ड मी टू कीप दैट टॉप ताकि हम देख सके क्या है. एंड जब देखा कि हमने सीमन है, उसके बाद मैंने अपने फ्रेंड्स को बताया और मैंने FB पे एक पोस्ट डाला, जिसके बाद बहुत लोगों ने मुझे सपोर्ट किया, शेयर किया. काफ़ी नेगेटिव कमेंटिंग भी आई है बट वो मुझे रोकने नहीं वाली.
And CNN-News18 also caught up with the protesting students, many of whom protested outside the PHQ, the police headquarters in Delhi today, who said that semen-filled balloons are an attack on a woman's dignity, and that's what it is.
I'm right now outside LSR College, Lady Shriram College of Delhi University, and as you can see, hundreds of girls are protesting outside college against the normalization of violence in the Gaba festival.
होली के नाम पे अंडे मार रहे, semen-filled balloons मार रहे, ये एक इंसान की dignity पे attack है. We have been conditioned कि होली का टाइम है, अब हम बाहर नहीं निकलेंगे. मैं तो होली के टाइम पे होली खेलने तो दूर की बात है. I don't even get out of my house. I couldn't get out this time of my own house because I was fearful कि मुझ में कोई balloon pelt करेगा. उसमें हो सकता है mud हो सकता है semen हो सकता है color हो.
They feel like there is an entitlement of some sort, and that way social entitlement is so deep rooted. It's not possible for one simple law. We need to change the attitude on a whole.
You know, men watching this broadcast and men in Delhi, this is a peculiar Delhi problem. Don't do this. This is sick. This is disgusting. And just by saying Burana Mano Holi Hai doesn't justify this. This is absolutely unacceptable. Happy Holi to you. Enjoy it. Be safe. And we'll catch you again Monday night. Thanks for your time.